Okay, Unit 5, we're going to start with adding and subtracting rationals. Okay, so remembering just quickly adding fractions, you need to have a common denominator. So let's take an example. So 3/4 plus 1/12. You need to remember that the denominators need to be the same in order to add them together. So what would be common between a 4 and a 12? They would both go into 12. Okay, so I asked myself, how did I change this 4 to 12? I multiplied by 3, so I also have to multiply the numerator by 3, and 12 to this 12 is the same, so I do nothing, so I keep that as a 1, and I get 10 over 12. Okay, so you need to keep that in the back of your mind when we're doing this lesson. So here is an example. So I'm going to go x plus 5 over 7 minus x plus 3 over 4. Okay, so looking at our denominators, this one has a 7, this one has a 4. So to have a common denominator, I would need to combine them over a 28. Okay, just like how this got combined over 12, we're going to put these both over 28. So I asked myself, what did I do to this 7 to change it into a 28? I times it by 4. So I'm also going to times the top by 4, but I need to remember I'm timesing the whole top by 4. And here the 4 got times by 7 to get to 28. So I need to multiply the whole numerator by 7. Okay, so now we're going to distribute this. So the first fraction becomes 4x plus 20 in the numerator. And the second fraction, now this is the part where a lot of people make a tiny mistake, that this also has to go through the negative. So this first term becomes negative 7x, and the second term becomes negative 21. So altogether, your final answer is negative 3x minus 1 all over 28. Okay, example 2. 4 over x plus 3, and we're going to add 5x over x squared minus 9. Okay, so on this one, we're going to look at this denominator, and I recognize this as a difference of squares. So I'm going to factor it underneath. So this can become x plus 3 times x subtract 3. Okay, we okay with that? Difference of squares factoring. So now, when I think about my common denominator, I need to have an x plus 3 in there. I also need an x subtract 3. This fits in there. This fits in there. Okay, so we're done finding the common denominator. Now, ask yourself, what did you multiply this denominator by? So it had this, so therefore this got multiplied. So I also have to multiply the top by an x minus 3. From this denominator to this one, I didn't change it, so I don't change the numerator. Okay, so the first fraction got changed, so it would become 4x minus 12. The second fraction just has a 5x in the numerator, so my final answer is going to be 9x subtract 12 all over x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay, and I often get people who think, well, why can't I just write 9x minus 12? It would be the same thing when you say 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3. That's what you would be writing. You need to make sure that you keep the denominator on that. Okay? Alright, let's see if we have another example here for you. Five over x minus 4, subtract 3 over x plus 2. Okay, so in my denominator, I need to have an x minus 4 in there. I also need to have an x plus 2 in there. Does this number fit in there? Yes. Does this fit in there? Yes. Okay, so now I ask myself, what did I multiply this first fraction by on the bottom? It got multiplied by x plus 2, so I need to multiply the top by an x plus 2. Second fraction, it contains that, so I multiplied by that. So I therefore multiply the top. So now we get 5x plus 10. Now, remember I said lots of people miss this? Don't do that. Minus 3x, and now that's a positive 12. Do you see it? Negative 3 times negative 4. So your final answer is 2x plus 22 all over x minus 4, x plus 2. Okay, let's do another example. 2 over x squared minus x minus 6 plus 3 over x squared plus x minus 12. Okay, so we're going to factor this. Simple trinomial, start with an x, multiplies to 6, so I'm going to use a 2 and a 3 to get me a negative 1 in the middle. So that's going to be a negative 3. Another simple trinomial over here. So I'm going to lead with x. I'm going to use a 4 and a 3 because I need a positive 1. Okay, so we need common denominator now that we've factored. So the factors I need in the bottom, I need an x plus 2, I need an x minus 3, and I need an x plus 4, but I don't need to repeat that. So does this fit in there? Yes. Does this fit in there? Yes. See how they both fit in there. So now this is my common denominator. What did I multiply by? So first fraction, it had that, so it got multiplied by x plus 4. So I need to do that to the numerator. Second fraction, it had that one, so it got multiplied by x plus 2. Okay, distribute and collect. 2x plus 8, 3x plus 6, final answer, 5x plus 14, all over, and then the common denominator. And there's your final answer.